cutback for Vasilev. And Lukic! A banger of a strike for Jovan Lukic's first MLS goal. It's fallen out to Westfield. Oh, wow! He's nearly taken the roof of the net off. Philadelphia pounce again. Who gets his goal on his Union debut? The record signing off and running in his first appearance for the club.
Hello and welcome to the Free Kick Podcast. My name is Todd, and man, I feel like if we have any more 2-goal deficits for the Philadelphia Union to come back from, do we even need to watch soccer anymore the rest of the year? Because we all know 2-goal deficit is the worst lead you want to have in all of soccer. Philadelphia Union once again make it back-to-back weeks as they fight back from 2-0, going down in the half, defeat New York City by a score of 3-2 with second-half goals from Danley, Jacques, and a brace from Bruno Damiani. Lots to talk about in this episode, but first things first, José Nunez, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. Fresh off of finishing up a small, tiny project in the house, a little handyman work, which makes me very, very happy. Saved a lot of money by doing it, and I keep on checking it to make sure it's not broken in terms of a dishwasher. But, man, what an exciting game last night. Always fun when MLS during assignment hits you up and says, you know what, I think we're going to do a Philly story. It's like, oh, those are a heck of a lot easier than having to sort of wrap my brain around what a Chicago game or let's say a Portland game, for example, teams that I watch periodically but don't know as well as I know obviously Philly. So fun match, man. I don't know how many more times the Union can do something like this, but sure as hell got to enjoy while they're doing it.
Yeah, I agree with you. We'll take it where we can get it. And I was looking at it, Jose, before we went live on my lunch break. Somebody had posted, what exactly the Philadelphia Union have to do to get into the playoffs, how many points they need to get the rest of the way. Obviously, they've won the first 4 games under interim head coach Ryan Richter's tenure as first-team manager. And the Union, according to Opta, have a 33% chance now to making the playoffs, Jose. So I think prior to Bradley Cornell being fired, I think it was like less than 10%. And so, look, you win 4 straight games, Jose, and then you start to see some belief from the players. We've seen the belief from the players, and you get some results going your way around the league, that you continue to climb that table. Obviously, the game on Wednesday against Inter Miami, it's going to be a tough task for the Philadelphia Union. But what is interesting, Jose, is prior to the game against New York City, right, including Leagues Cup and MLS, the Philadelphia Union had been home for 6 straight games for Ryan Richter. Hadn't been on the road yet with this team. And they faced adversity early on in this game. They gave up a penalty kick. Traore scores his first goal. We'll talk about those penalty kicks here coming up. But you go down 2-0 in the first half. And this is the first time Ryan Richter has been on the road with this team. Mm-hmm. And then we see them just completely come out, a different squad. And I don't think they looked as bad as what the scoreline had said, Jose, in the first half. And I know maybe there were some colleagues of ours in the media that disagreed with that, thinks that New York City was the better team. But I think if you looked at the amount of chances the Union had in the first half, it should have at least been tied going into halftime.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Spot on, right? In terms of, I think of Olaski genuinely looking at the sideline for the official to raise a flag because of how bad his miss was. I can't believe that he missed that poorly. Though, now in hindsight, and this is maybe sidetracking you a little bit, but like, I don't know if do you have blunder of the week?
I do.
Okay. I don't know if this is blunder of the week, but after seeing what that field looked like, courtesy of Alejandro Bedoya on Instagram, maybe I do understand why Milan Olaski missed that shot as badly as he did, considering the angle he was coming at, the speed he was coming at, and just how poor the surface was. So all that to say that, players like Milan Olaski having opportunities to bring it level, if not honestly even get ahead and just not capitalizing on them. But it didn't matter because they ultimately figured it out. And I think we're going to talk more and listen to comments from Ryan Richter about this halftime talk. And we're going to hear or talk about the challenges that he posed to certain players. And then ultimately those that obviously I think as a whole, they raced to the challenge. But I think 3 really stood out, 2 more important than 1 per se, in terms of, the Sullivan brothers getting it done and Damiani doing the tapping of the ball in really well, getting a brace on the night. But I don't want to shortchange Danley, who, dude, I thought had an unbelievable second half, just incredible. They're up there with the way that Kevin played. So all in all, man, like what a crazy game. I have a hard time thinking, this Atlanta, like it's starting to feel like some of those crazy results in 21 and 22 as well. We're like, man, these guys are just figuring out how to win last minute.
It does absolutely feel like they're learning how to win last minute. I agree with you there, Jose. I was debating whether or not I wanted to play the clip from Ryan Richter. I'd asked him about Jesus Bueno's performance, and he had brought up, and I think it's a fair point from Ryan, and said, basically, I can't believe nobody asked about Danley Jacques. And you had just mentioned Danley there, thinking that he rivaled the performance of a Kevin Sullivan, of a Bruno Damiani. And I thought about texting you this, Jose, but I was like, you know what, let's go ahead and just have this debate or maybe this discussion on the podcast. Obviously, you want to hype up your players, but I'm sitting there when he's talking about Danley, I'm like, no, don't talk about Danley. Like, we know Danley has the quality to be playing in Europe. Yes, the Union and MLS are a selling league, but I don't want to see Danley gone from this team yet, because it's only been a year. It's only been a year since or 2 years, right? 2 years now that he's been a Philadelphia Union player. Like, I want to enjoy him a little bit longer, because we got to see a glimpse of what he had to offer in 2024 when they brought him in. 2025, you can argue that him and Jovan Lukic were the best midfielders in all of MLS. And we knew, Jose, that Danley going to the World Cup with Haiti, playing against Brazil, was only going to solidify him that much higher on the international stage. And now here's Ryan Richter saying, I can't believe nobody's brought up Danley. He was one of the best players on the night. He had a fantastic performance. The exact quote was, quote, and I can't believe that no one has brought up Danley's performance in the second half, especially. He was incredible, end quote. Oh, sorry. And when he's playing at this level, to me, he's the best midfielder in MLS. And I think Ryan Richter has a point, Jose, because we saw it last year. And now we've seen it once again under Ryan Richter. I would argue every single game under Ryan Richter, Danley Jacques went back to what he was last year under former head coach Bradley Cornell.
I'm sorry? Say it again.
I would argue that the performances we're seeing under Danley Jacques in the first 4 games in MLS under Ryan Richter rivals what we saw under former head coach Bradley Cornell last season.
Yeah. Sorry, you cut out there for a second. I didn't get the whole sentence. No, yeah, man. I don't know. And watching that second half and thinking about the performance that he had, and I remember actually texting the group chat afterwards, thinking like, because I had tried to get, due to MLS assignment, try to get the Sullivan brothers on the record separately, just to add quotes to the story for the league site, and ultimately that wasn't possible. Got the ability to ask a question to Ryan, and one of my first question was going to be selfish, like, Ryan, like this has to be the best game that Danley has played under you so far, and certainly this year, I would think, and he did it in 45 minutes to really stand out that way. So yeah, he beat me to the punch, but I honestly thought I was watching a Diego Chara in a way, like, as somebody who yes, like, isn't the flashiest, isn't going to do the crazy stuff that you see some midfielders do, but like, you can trust that he's going to close down space. You can trust that he will get in for a tackle. You can trust that he's going to use that second lung to get to players when he ultimately has to. And yes, it helps that it was Yankee Stadium and it's basically playing, futsal in such a small, narrow field. But Danley was all over the place. That heat map was, I don't know if you ultimately saw it, Todd, but the heat map for Danley was, yes, of course, he was mainly on one side, but the way that he was just even touching some of the corners, I'm thinking to myself, my God, when did he get there? But of course he did. So it was great to see, right? And where he was closing, where he was available for both transition, but also closing down and defending, maybe allowing a Kevin to go up a little bit further, maybe allowing Milan to go up a little bit further. So yeah, overall, I think one of his best games, if not his best game yet. And he did it in 45 minutes because I don't know that the first half was really much to rave about for him. No fault of his own, just the game was wonky. But the second half was just amazing. It was so good.
Do you think the Philadelphia Union are going to hold on to him for the rest of the season? A couple more weeks until the transfer window ends. And you're a Manchester City fan, Jose, and you follow the Premier League. But it's amazing. I saw you guys are linked with a midfielder in France for 85 million euros, I think the price was. And we're watching the price of all these midfielders. What, Anderson you guys brought early in the transfer window? Yeah, insane for a midfielder. And yes, we know that when you're buying English players, you're paying the English tax. But even if you take away Anderson, like I said, the player that you guys are being linked with in France, you look at Santos for Manchester United leaving Chelsea going for $50 million. The price of midfielders are really expensive. And here's a player in Danley Jacques has experience playing in Ligue 1 with FC Metz. He has the quality to play back in Europe. I'm not saying that he has the quality to play in a top 6 team, but he does certainly have the quality to play in a top 4 league in Europe, playing for at least a mid-table side. And when so many teams are struggling to bring midfielders in for a decent price, here's a guy in Danley Jacques where $6-7 million, I feel like the Union would be comfortable letting him go for that price. And I totally came up with that number off the top of my head. Maybe the Union value him a little bit higher, but regardless, you'd get a lot cheaper of a deal bringing in a Danley compared to what a lot of these midfielders in Europe are going for. And so I do wonder, a couple more weeks left in the transfer window, do you think Danley stays with the Union for the rest of the season, Jose?
I could tell you right now that after watching a few matches and some highlights, Danley would be a sure bet starter for a team like Rangers. My goodness, he would be a first pick for Rangers, no doubt, with how the quality of ball that they were playing lately. So, what's up, Evan? Speaking of the devil, yeah, Danley could. I would love to see Danley take a stab at the championship. I think would be interesting, right? A physical league, probably even better than that. I'd be intrigued
for that league. He's way too good for that league.
Yeah, I think of the success that even someone like, nothing against him, but like a Berhalter's having out in the championship. If he's getting it done, what can Danley do, right? So maybe to your point, you're right. Would a West Ham be interested? I don't know. Like, what would some of these clubs would be in England interested in someone like Danley? I think he would also be very good actually in Italy. Maybe even Germany in a way. So yeah, I think they hold on to him. I don't think that there's anybody who's like protected per se, right? Like if there's the right value or the right, amount of money coming in, it makes sense. Yeah, of course the Union got to jump. You can't, what was it that, the McDermott quote that he had a couple of weeks ago, where like, you just got to be ready for the best offer because you don't know if it's going to come back again. You just got to make a educated decision in the moment of what you have, where you are, and where you want to be. And if it makes sense for Danley to go and that's what he wants, you also ultimately got to, make sure you take that into account. So I think Sean is right. I think Danley is indeed one of those players that will not be here for the sprint season. So I'm really, really intrigued to see how the Union reload.
Well, I look at a player like Jesus Bueno, and we're talking about the changes from Ryan Richter here later on in the show. But he's a player that shows every time that he comes off the bench or every time that he makes a spot start, Jose, that he's good enough quality to start for the Union. I would argue that he could start for maybe a little bit half of the teams in MLS. And so maybe Danley does leave in the offseason, and then Jesus Bueno is the next player to step up. It's a good thing to have 3 quality defensive midfielders that can step in and do the job. I am also intrigued too, Jose, with Indiana Vasilev. What does his role become once Quinn Sullivan continues to get back to 100% match fitness? I think Indiana Vasilev's done a fantastic job under Richter since taking over as the interim coach. We're seeing Indy continue to play well defensively. We're seeing him create chances for Milan Alaski last night at the back post. And Indy's always been good at playing that floated ball to the back post, finds space so well in the attack. And so I do wonder, well, if Quinn Sullivan now starts going into the starting 11, would we potentially see Vasilev go back and play as a number 6? Could we see him play as a number 6 next year if Danley's indeed moved on from the Philadelphia Union? So it is indeed pretty intriguing. Sean says, sell Danley to Rangers for 7.5. Sprint season goes to hell. Buy him back for $9 million. So the Kai
That's so funny.
Mandy says, is this the Jesus Bueno fan club meeting? Yeah, we'll talk about we'll talk about Jesus here in a little bit. What's the difference in terms of ROI? Would it be if they move him now instead of next January? What do you think, Jose?
Well, between now and next January, you have a whole bunch of international windows, and who knows who Haiti schedules for some of their matches. Obviously, they have some qualification of their own for Gold Cup, I think would be, right, that they have to go through. Unfortunately, it feels like the Union will be done playing international soccer because I have a hard time seeing how they would sneak into, unless there's like some crazy miracle that they qualify into CONCACAF Champions Cup. So that doesn't help. But I mean, his resume is really good. He is 26, I guess 27 by the time that this transfer could come. So obviously age is on the wrong side for him in terms of max value. So I think the biggest bet for him to increase his value would be, of course, scoring, winning, and ultimately how he performs with the national team. And he's a sure bet starter every single match for Haiti. Though I think they're in the middle of getting a new coach, if not just got a new coach. Haiti did. So some questions to be asked, but I can't imagine that they move away from a keystone like Danley.
So you mentioned questions being asked, Jose, and I guess this is a good transition into the actual game. Yeah. But 2 controversial penalties given to the Union. I know in our group chat, multiple group chats, Jose, you said soft penalty given up on Neil Pierre on the foul on Andres Pereira. I think you're right, Jose, that it is completely soft. But I do think by the letters of the law, I think it is a penalty. You should never, as a defender, never have your hands on an attacker inside the penalty area because that attacker is always going to sell it. And that's exactly what Andres Pereira did on the play. I think he goes down extremely soft. But Apple got a really good look at this play of Neil Pierre just grabbing the whole arm of Pereira, and then he pulls him down. Yes, I think he goes to the ground way too soft. But anytime that there's contact on an attacker inside the penalty area, I think it's always going to be given as a penalty. And then there's a second penalty given with Andres Pereira, once again involved for New York City. It's a poor clearance by Jovan Lukic, which, wasn't his best game. I think we can all admit that, and should have done a better job clearing that ball out of the area. Maybe the field plays in effect. You said it earlier with the video that Alejandro Bedoya posted on Instagram. That field was atrocious at Yankee Stadium. We saw like sections of the stadium or field just concrete, like basically. I mean, it was so difficult to walk all over. But regardless, poor clearance from Jovan Lukic. And the ball deflects off of Indiana Vasilev's hand, his arm area, and penalties awarded. Luigi steps up, converts the penalty 2-0. But on both penalty goals for New York City, Andre Blake never dives for either one of those penalties. And you and I had noticed no Phil Wedden on the sideline for the Union in this game. Ross Kane, the Philadelphia Union 2 goalkeeping coach, was on the sideline for the Union in this match. And
first cap confirmed, by the way. First cap confirmed for Ross Kane. I can confirm that from sources. That was his first cap. So congratulations to him. Phil Wedden was away with some FIFA work, apparently.
FIFA.
Yeah, he was doing some FIFA work, apparently.
Saying that Phil Wedden is in the good graces of Gianni Infantino. Say, big Gianni Infantino supporter there in FIFA.
I don't know. Maybe Phil will find a way to get FIFA to have Corinthians pay what they owe the Union for the Jose Martinez transfer. I don't know.
Phil's actually on a secret mission with Infantino, trying to get that 1.5 million Jose for El Brujo. Ridiculous. And how they're still not transfer banned either, by the way, beats me.
It seems like the bar is pretty low to actually have it be right over there. So neither here nor there. Yeah, we noticed that Phil was not there, and it was good to see Ross. I'm really intrigued about Ross's future. He's highly regarded, that's for sure.
John says it was soft for sure, but I think you're right. You're just begging the ref to make a decision. Typical bad call from that ref. Wolfie chimes in and says, I got thrown out of a soccer game by the ref this weekend for contesting a penalty, but even so, both of those were easy pens. And yeah, so the Union go down 2-0 at halftime, and this was only the third time this season, Jose, that the Union had went into the break, conceding 2 or more goals, going down by 2 goals at halftime. And to their credit, they fight back. But we mentioned it a little bit earlier, Jose, and maybe it was the field, maybe it wasn't. Multiple chances for Milan Ilowski in the first half. Had 4 really good chances in this game. Could have scored a hat trick, Jose, if we're being honest. He gets played in by Frankie Westfield, which, by the way, a left-footed floated ball over the top. Phenomenal stuff from Frankie. I think playing left back, Jose, definitely helped his left foot get a lot stronger when he had to play left back at times this season. But it's a perfect ball floated over the top. Milan maybe thinks he's offsides on the play, tries to chip, Matt Freese goes wide. And then we see an opportunity, like I said, with the floated ball to the back post for Ilowski from Indiana Vasilev. Hits it wide of the post. And you just think to yourself, how? How has this guy not scored in the first half after coming into the game, scoring 6 straight goals in MLS? Made 0 sense, but yeah, huge missed opportunities from Milan Ilowski. Union, maybe a little bit unfortunately, to go into the half down by 2 goals, but to their credit, they fight back in the second half.
Yeah, man, I guess I never really answered the question on the penalties. Yes, both ultimately. I think Neil's was softer than soft, but ultimately, yes, a foul. Did you notice? It seems like Perea had a bone to pick with the Union this weekend. I noticed him being a little bit of a pain in the ass in terms of being the first one to go talk to the referee about fouls, the first one to kind of push and shove a little bit, and of course I think he got done a little dirty by the Union during his time here. Jim Curtin kind of burnt him a little bit. I'm not sure if you agree or not.
I agree 100%. I'll never forget because it was a CONCACAF Champions Cup match. I think it was CONCACAF Champions League at the time. And Perea had played well. And I had asked him in the mix zone, what do you think you have to do to get into the starting 11 in MLS or something like that? And he had said, I don't know, ask Jim Curtin or something. And basically after that, he got exiled. And so I don't want to say that I'm the reason why Perea got in trouble, but I'm sure that did indeed get back to Jim Curtin because he always found a way to be active on social media with his many burner accounts. So he's a guy who always knows what's going on, even if he's not using his primary account.
Yeah, he's always in there. I have a sense. I think I know what one of them might be, but I also don't know if I should call it out or not. But in terms of where were we? We were talking about the penalty, and then we started talking about
missed chances by Ilowski.
Yeah, man, those missed chances. I I'm going to go ahead and chalk it up to the field or genuinely just an off day. And it's okay to have an off day, especially if you have the track record as of late that Milan Alosky has had, right? The entire weight of the team cannot be on his shoulders to score every single game. This is where, lo and behold, it's great that a Bruno Damiani comes and scores too, right? Like what an incredible thing for him to actually come in and show up. We even joked in the one writers group chat I'm in of like, Kevin, and we're going to talk about him, Kevin Sullivan playing so well that even Bruno Damiani can score. Like that's how it's going per se from people outside looking in. And I don't want to diminish Bruno's work on the night to score too, because they were from close range, but he still had to do a little bit of work to get him in, considering the crowd around him and placing him, etc. So, I'm gonna go ahead and just chalk up those misses by Alosky as just, happenstance. You just don't know. It is what it is.
You brought up Bruno Damiani, so let's go ahead and talk about Bruno's performance. First career MLS brace with the Philadelphia Union for Damiani.
What a freaky thing.
Overall, what a freaky thing indeed. His second overall brace, scored a brace very first game of the season against Defense Force and CONCACAF Champions Cup. And not to like gloat into anything, because look, we know that strikers can be streaky. Damiani certainly is streaky. But I would say, Jose, you and I are maybe some of the few people that have always believed in him, even when he wasn't scoring goals. And it's kind of the Mikael Uhre argument over again, where, he should have scored more goals during his time in Philadelphia. But for me, I could justify him not scoring those goals because he's doing enough off the ball, getting other players involved, where I'm like, I see his value to the team. Yes, you want him to score chances, but we finally have a night where Damiani gets 2 chances, Jose. Just 2 chances. And he converts both of those chances for goals. I know coming into this game, he last played against Necaxa in the League's Cup, scored a goal in that game. And that was another goal, Jose, that he had to work hard for. He had to stretch hard for that. It's a well-placed ball by Nathan Harriel well out in front of Damiani, and he stretches well to put that in the back of the net. And these were maybe a little bit easier goals for Damiani. It's all done with Kevin Sullivan on the first goal, and then on the second goal, it's Quinn Sullivan. But on both goals, Damiani has to be smart, Jose. He has to be patient. He knows where the space is, doesn't want to go off sides, and he just lets the space come to him, lets the Sullivan brothers do the work. As soon as that ball is played across, he needs to go and finish that first time. We've seen him miss plenty of those chances in the past. As Wolfie says, those were Breber-like goals. And that's exactly it. First time finishes, that's exactly what you want from your target forward.
Yeah, and I think your point, and I didn't even really think about it. But now in rewinding the games in my mind, I'm just like, Damiani did a really good job of finding himself in the space for these passes, right? I think of Quinn's assist. I think Quinn almost made a meal out of that one a little bit with the cutback and then ultimately finally passing the ball. It wasn't as a breakaway as the cabin one was per se, but Damiani did a great job of finding the space, getting his body to be in the spot to be able to score the goal. That is like 70% of the work to some of these goals. And again, going back to what Ryan Richter said a couple of matches ago, some of these players can score the incredible goal, right? 2 touches and put it far post, top bins. Great. But the players that score a lot are the ones that are able to do what Damiani did. Find himself in a space or the place where the ball will come and just, it may not be pretty. It may not be the highlight reel, cut that you and myself ultimately, think about for goal of the year. But when you look at the score sheet or you look at the stat sheet, ultimately those goals count just as much as a Kevin Sullivan top bin from outside the 18, right? So I'm happy for Bruno. I'm happy that he's on this little streak of 3 goals in 2 matches. So good for him. Hopefully this unlocks something. At least Ryan, I guess, more or less hinted at. This is just a huge weight off his shoulders over the last 2-3 games.
What do you make of it, Jose? And I think we talked about this a couple episodes ago on the podcast, where now it's a second coach, Jose, that despite him not scoring as much as the fan base, and I would imagine the coaching staff and maybe even some of his players would want, it's now a second coach that's come in and continues to pick him in the starting 11. I don't know if that says more for the strikers that they have on the roster, or if that's because both coaches have believed that despite him not scoring goals, he does enough work off the ball to justify being one of those players in the 11. But yeah, we see Bruno Damiani reward Ryan Richter for his faith in the striker, gets his first career MLS brace with the Union. Question here for you, or maybe I'll answer it too, Jose, but it says, Bruno Damiani will lead the team in goals scored by the end of the year. Crazy or possible?
I mean, I think two things can be true. It can be crazy and possible, considering to have, 15 matches left at this point, maybe a few less. Yeah, I mean, it's possible if he's bagging braces and being part of games. I hope this isn't the case. I feel for you if this is the case, but they play Inter Miami. The last time they played Inter Miami, that was a 10-goal night. This is I don't know, it just takes Bruno a hat trick here, a brace here, a goal here, and next thing you know, he might be leading the team. But that's also asking a lot of a player who just scored his first ever brace in MLS. So I think two things can be true in that statement, both crazy and possible.
15 games left in MLS. You are correct, Jose. Looking at it, Milan Alaski leads the Union in goals with 10, followed by Damiani and Danley Jacques tied in second with 3 goals apiece. And I would say, so if we're saying that Damiani will lead the Union in goals by the end of the season, then how much is Alaski going to cool off? 6 straight games coming into this match, scoring a goal. You said it earlier, Jose, that he's not going to score every game. Other players need to step up. This match, multiple players stepped up. Damiani stepped up with the brace this game. And because Damiani is so far behind Alaski, I don't think Damiani will finish as the leading goal scorer for the club. But this was interesting when I was looking at Jose, because he has 6 goals in all competitions in 24 games this year with the Union, with just over 1,600 minutes played. And last year, Jose, he scored 9 goals in 40 appearances and over 2,500 minutes played. And so he's 3 away. He's played in 16 less games, and he's 3 away from tying his goals across all competition with the Union. I think it is very possible we see Damiani finish in double-digit goals this year, considering that he's played less games, way less minutes, and there's still 15 games left to play, and maybe the Union squeak into the playoffs, and now you have extra playoff games. I think it's possible. I think if the question would have been, will Bruno Damiani finish with double-digit goals? I would say yes. I don't think he's going to lead the team in goals unless he goes on a crazy run where he's scoring a brace every single game. Is it possible? Maybe. I don't know if it's going to happen. You had brought it up, Jose. 6-4 game last time Philadelphia and Inter Miami played. I don't know if we'll get that again, but it is interesting to note, though, under Ryan Richter, in 3 out of the 4 games in MLS, the Union have scored 3 goals. They're scoring a lot more goals than they did under former head coach Bradley Cornell. So maybe we are in for a crazy game, but I think it's possible that he scores double digits by the end of the year, right, Jose?
It would be such a turnaround for the guy, and my goodness, if this is the type of turnaround that you would see on a Damiani, like let's start to have this type of turnaround on a Alado, right? Let's see what type of turnaround they can have on someone like him. Yeah, I don't know what else we can add in terms of Damiani. I'm just genuinely happy for the dude, right? Like you've been with me when I've talked to him. He's answered every possible question we ask him. You've asked him questions on away games too. And the guy's very open, very clear. He's not afraid to answer questions. I think he knows also how to tiptoe the line with media and press and answers. And even when the microphone's off and you were standing there, like I asked him a few questions that were probably he was happy to answer, but happy not to answer him on the record, and was very open about him. So I'm just genuinely thrilled for the guy. He's having the weight off of being last year's, I guess, record signing, and now being a second most expensive signing ever tag. Maybe starting to show what he can do beyond what doesn't show up on the stat line, right? Because you and I have been talking about this for a while. Our friends too within our orbit understand how much the guy does off the ball, and to finally see it come through on the stat line is really good. It's cathartic. I feel happy for him.
Yeah, me too. And let's move on to the Sullivan brothers, Jose. I think we're flying along on the show, which is good. Definitely want to get back home here before 11 o'clock, which, spoiler alert, people watching on YouTube, this is definitely not my normal setup. It's all good. I told Jose I want to take advantage of swimming as often as I can as my sister's dog sitting. So I said, you know what, I'll take my laptop, I'll take my mic and everything, and I'll do a show on the road. Jose does so many of those shows, so I'll go do it for once, Jose. And so I do apologize. We started 5 minutes late, and it's all on me getting everything situated. But the Sullivan brothers, Kevin and Quinn, unbelievable performance. Kevin Sullivan, just like Bruno Damiani, gets a brace and assist, his first time in his Philadelphia Union career in MLS. Quinn Sullivan, after that gruesome ACL injury almost a year ago now, Jose, against DC United, picks up his first assist of the season, continues to look the part. Yes, he's not 100% match fit, but he's getting there. And it was a big performance, a big moment for him to get that assist. The very first person that greeted Quinn was his brother Kevin. So happy for Quinn Sullivan to come back, to get an assist. And I think it's many more assists to come for Quinn. Because how many times had people reach out to us, Jose? How many people on the show have left in the comments saying once Quinn Sullivan comes back, the chances are going to start coming back. Frankie, we know, creates chances. Kai Wagner's back, creates chances. Kevin Sullivan's creating chances. Now you adding Quinn Sullivan. Now suddenly an attack that looked questionable at best this season. Now you don't have to question where the seasons are going to come from, because you have multiple players that have the ability, the 1v1 ability, to create chances for others. And we see it with both Sullivan brothers on the night. But I find it interesting, right, that Ryan Richter last night was asked about, players that needed to step up. He mentions players that need to step up, and he says, I don't want to name names. And then a few moments later, he mentions, one of those players that he challenged was Kevin Sullivan. And Kevin comes out with a huge performance in the second half for the Union. And so I'll start off with the first clip tonight. Ryan Richter talking about challenging Kevin Sullivan at halftime.
Yeah, the first half, I can say he's one of the guys at halftime that I really challenged, because we know about his talent. It's incredible, the things that he can do, the mentality that he has. But he can only play when the ball is at his feet. And every game is not going to be a situation where he is getting in these positions, can go out guys, create from there. He's going to have to find the game in different ways sometimes. And that was more of the challenges. You have to position yourself for second balls. You have to recover in the game. You have to find the ball in the middle of the field in tight windows and turn and make plays from there. And you have to just, play better because you're capable of it. Bring everything at a higher level. And he's the guy that, for a young man, that he can accept this in the moment, take it, and then put together what he did in the second half, and then have the unselfish play that he made on the goal, on Bruno's first goal. That's what makes him different. That's what makes him different, is this maturity and this mentality. And again, like I said, with a lot of the guys, I'm proud of them, but really proud of the way that he responded to what I think was not his best first half.
Yeah, Ryan, he's not going to pull punches. He's known Kevin Sullivan for so many years. He's known Quinn Sullivan for so many years. And we'll play your question that you asked Ryan Richter at the end of the press conference coming up here in a bit, talking about his relationship with the Sullivan brothers, the family overall. But Ryan's right. Was not Kevin's best performance in the first half. I think New York City did a good job taking him out of the game completely. Kevin found it pretty difficult to find the ball. I think the Union found a lot of success going down wide with Frankie Westfield, with Kai Wagner. but for Cavan himself specifically, wasn't able to get on the ball enough. But to his credit, he shows big against one of the many city footballing group clubs that they have under the belt in their MLS side in New York City. And so this was a big moment to Cavan to show the people in the city organization that I do have what it takes to play at the next level, that I'm going to give it my all in my remaining years in MLS with the Philadelphia Union before I head off to Manchester City at 18. I'd imagine he goes out on loan once he arrives in England. But it was a big moment for Kevin Sullivan specifically, Jose, to get that assist on the Danley goal. Credit to him for getting the header to flick it on to Danley. But then the second assist that he picks up, I fully expected Kevin to shoot that ball. And he makes the easy play, but it's the right play to square that ball to Bruno Damiani.
Yeah, and that's what I was most impressed, where I texted in I know we often talk about all these group chats. I feel like during our games, there's usually like 4 or 5 that are just popping, whether it's us with immediate orbit or I'm sure you're in other ones. I'm in some MLS writer ones, certainly the MLS Slack with a group where for assignment on the night. And I think we were all just kind of wowed. It's like, wow, Kevin didn't take that shot, but got Damiani to score. It almost feels like that assist almost had more weight to it than the goal because of what it did, right? Trying to elevate a teammate. And this kid's 16, trying to elevate a teammate who's going through a rough spell or has had a rough start in Philadelphia, a rough year, and going out of his way to make sure that he can have an impact in a game and continue to build off of that one goal the game prior. So I was shocked that was a pass to Damiani. And the Danley goal, I kind of look at, I'm thinking that felt a little lucky, but like he did the right thing, right? His job in that play right there in that position is to flick the ball on, and he did just that. So of course, credit to him, but I'm still amazed that he passed the ball for an assist versus taking a shot and trying to beat the goalkeeper by himself. Kudos to him. Very smart.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, was a play that I don't know many 16-year-olds are going to have the IQ to make. Because when you're in that moment, when you have so much space in front of you, because Murray had to leave Damiani to go attack the ball. And what I found so interesting is that Kevin didn't drive at the goal. He drove at the defender, making the defender commit to him so he could square that ball to Damiani. And as impressive as that play was, what I think maybe is a little bit more impressive, and maybe this is the defender coming out of me, Jose, is the play that he made that led to the third goal, the game-winning goal for Damiani. Wins the Union the ball back in their own defensive half. New York City have a throw-in. They throw it in. Kevin tackles the ball, wins it, tries to play a chip pass up top for Bruno Damiani, and it's a little bit too much. Murray makes a mess of it. It's a bad pass. It's intercepted by Jesus Bueno, but it's the work rate for Kevin Sullivan, who's known for all of his offensive abilities. But I was super impressed, too, what he did defensively in this game, Jose. And then Quinn Sullivan, again, I want to highlight him here in a second. I think we will see him make starts at different points of the season in MLS. I don't think that we'll see him start majority of the 15 games remaining. But I do think that he has a role playing off the bench, Jose. And I do wonder, just like in El Senior was Jim Curtin's number one option off the bench, like a Corey Burke after El Senior left seemed to be the number one option. It does seem to be that it's either Jesus Bueno or Quinn Sullivan, or maybe let's say specifically attackers, that Quinn Sullivan seems to be Ryan Richter's number one choice coming off the bench if he doesn't start. And I think that's a credit to him trusting the player, knowing that if we're down a goal, or even if the Union aren't down a goal, if they need to close out a game, bring on players that's going to do the dirty defensive work. That is what Quinn Sullivan can offer you.
Yeah, and to be completely fair, I think it's evident when you speak with Quinn or you hear him talk when he gives quotes, and I don't think he's happy being a bench option. I don't think certainly Jesus is probably not happy about being a bench option and wanting to be there from the first whistle all the way to the end. But ultimately somebody has to be. Is I had a conversation with somebody separately about Bueno. And he's one of those players where I wonder what his future is with the club. He's under contract for what, another 2 years yet, right? Off the top of my head, I can't remember. I think 2 years. So he's safe in that sense, contractually. But is he the right player for this team to take the next step? He's showing flashes and signs, which is great. But this is also still a team in a period of transition, right? Ryan Richter has the interim tag. I haven't heard otherwise that there's not that they are not currently searching for a coach. As far as I understood the press conference, that there's even while Ryan Sarah's an interim, there's a search ongoing. That's the way I understood the situation, unless you understood it differently, Todd, that everything paused until the season ended.
No, I agree with you.
Okay. So to me, I'm thinking, if you're Jesus Bueno and you're an off the bench player, of course you want to put your best foot forward and you want to be the best player that you can. But I wonder if in the back of his head, he's thinking, I genuinely don't know what my future is. I don't know who the head coach is. I don't know where I'm going to fit if there is a new head coach that isn't Ryan Richter. And even with Richter, he is also slotting in as a secondary option. So he's doing all the right things to try to earn more minutes. I just genuinely wonder if it'll be enough to make him want to stay beyond this season.
It's a fair point. It absolutely is a fair point. I'm going to ask you a question here, Jose.
Go ahead.
I asked Evan this question last week, and after a performance like this, it is easy to say, oh yeah, Kevin Sullivan should be considered for the next national team call-up. This performance obviously helps getting 2 assists. The U.S. have 2 windows coming out, one in September, one in November. Does Kevin Sullivan make his debut? Actually, let's not even say debut. Does he get called up to the men's national team, the full national team, in either September or November?
Okay. Sorry, I got a text message from somebody that is very relevant to this conversation. Say that again.
Does Kevin Sullivan get called up to the national team, the full national team, in either September or November?
Yes, I think without a doubt he's earned it. Which is different than your question. Yes, I think he does. And I also believe that it's earned.
I think he's earned it too. I think there's plenty of time for Pochettino before the next World Cup to see what he has in the young players. Let's see, okay, maybe some of these young players too, Jose, maybe they're not fully ready yet, but how many of those full national team players were we left disappointed with at the World Cup? Christian Pulisic obviously being the main one. But maybe Pochettino wants to look at some of these guys because, yes, they are talented. There's no denying that. But maybe Pochettino wants to light a fire in some of these guys that have felt like their spot's been locked in for years. Now you bring in some competition and say, no, your spot's not guaranteed, whether it be as a starter, whether it be as a bench player. Now we bring in some of these young players who we know the future is extremely bright for them. They're continuing to produce at their club teams in MLS or maybe in Europe. And maybe Kevin Sullivan's one of those players that pushes Christian Pulisic, Timothy Weah to get back to what we've seen them in the years past. And so, yeah, I said it with Evan. I do think that Kevin does get caught up in one of these next 2 windows. And in his performance against New York City with 2 assists, certainly helps. I believe, Jose, that option to call him up in one of these next 2 windows. But let's go ahead and move on.
Hold on. The one thing I do want to say is like I don't. As you think about the U.S. national team pool, do you really think that Mauricio Pochettino, as he's trying to figure out this team for 2030 and obviously the tournament in between with the Gold Cup and all the different competitions and friendlies, etc., you really think that he's going to lean on Cendejas again? Like, what's the point, right? Like, I would even go ahead and say, like, if these first, God, it's so early. Like, there's no shot Gio Reyna gets a call up, right? In September, October, he just got a he just got a new team. I don't see how he gets a call up. So again, I asked the question, who else is he going to bring in, right? Is it going to be, I think,
Jack McGlynn, maybe? Does Jack McGlynn get another call up?
And that's great. But I think Jack's playing well. Houston's doing well, but I wouldn't say that Houston's doing well just because of him. I would argue that the Philadelphia Union are doing well because of Cavan. I would argue that Cavan is, as a 16-year-old, I just don't see a world where throwing Cavan as a 16-year-old into the under 20s with the way he's playing really advance him at all. At this point, he's playing with 20-plus-year-old men in MLS, playing well. There was one moment right before his assist where he just took Traore on a dribble on the sideline, and I clipped it. But then, of course, he went ahead and assisted, and I chose a different clip. But it's genuinely impressive the way that he's taking on players. And sure, Traore is a attacking player, not a defender. Different set of skills, but the way that he runs past a designated player, dude, like as a 16-year-old, fearless, like this kid is just a different type of animal. That I just don't see how you don't channel that into the men's national team. And just even if it's a window, and I got the notification to apply for credentials for the U.S. national team. I don't even remember who they play in September. Maybe you can look that up while I'm talking, but like in thinking of those names, I'm thinking, why not just give him a shot? Like, just even if it's for him to ride the bench, maybe get 20 minutes at the end of a game or something like that. Just the experience of being through a national team camp, seeing how those guys handle themselves in a senior window. It's so important to get that icebreaker out of the way. And just, Peru and Chile. Dude, I don't know. Like, neither one of, like, I don't know that, Chile, I can't remember. Chile hasn't been good since Copa Sudamericana, where they beat Brazil in 2015, 2016, even before that. So I don't know. I feel like if you're going to do it, and this isn't your camp cupcake, as some folks like to call it, like, just give him a shot. Like, you have nothing to lose. Genuinely have nothing to lose, even if it is genuinely just for him to practice with the senior team. There's nothing to lose. That's my rant.
No, you're good. I agree with you. I think that there's going to be a lot of young players, or there should be a lot of young players. Does Julian Hall, Mehmeti, both players for Red Bull New York, did they get call-ups? Gazzo, on his way to Crystal Palace, I think what the reports are, I think he's another one that's a potential option to get called up. So I do think this is a time for Pochettino to start looking at some of these younger players. And like I said earlier, I think maybe these younger players will push some of these older senior players that have felt like their spots have been a shoe-in the last couple of years. It'll push them to take the job a little bit more serious.
I would say this is a perfect camp. If you're looking to turn the page from, God forbid they finally do it, a Tim Ream, right? They finally turn the page from him. Bring Banks. I would even, again, argue Neil Pierre has looked pretty good. He looked pretty good in Lyngby as well. Bring him in. Even if you're not really going to play him, bring him in so he can have a taste. I would even argue, again, I'm continuing to argue, but like, I think the proof is there. There, you could make a really solid shout for Frankie Westfield as well to be part of a September-October camp. September, November. Rick, it's tough with goalkeepers. Really, really tough with goalkeepers because Rick hasn't really played too much outside of this Leagues Cup tournament, and obviously practicing with the senior team during the tournament itself. So there's a connection there. Mauricio knows who he is, and certainly the staff know who he is and how he handles a camp. But this could genuinely be a window, or the next two windows, where Kevin Sullivan, Neil Pierre, Frankie Westfield are all part of this roster. I would think even the preliminary might be an absolute checkbox. Like, yeah, it's happening, no doubt. Like, they'll be part of what's a preliminary typically? Like 50, 40 names that get tossed in, and then they narrow it down to 20 or so.
Yeah.
I think it's easy for me to see those names being in there, but I have no issue seeing a Kevin Sullivan part of the roster for actual matches against Peru and Chile.
No, I agree with you. And it'll be interesting to see just how many players from Philadelphia Union wind up getting caught up. I think maybe I feel like the two most obvious ones are Frankie Westfield and Kevin Sullivan. Neil Pierre, man, we know how special he is. He's not going to be a Union player for much longer, I would imagine. So enjoy him while you have him, Union fans. Because I do think that ultimately he will be in line with Frankie Westfield to be the next Union player to depart the club and play in Europe. I know we saw these reports out there that Barcelona have been scouting him, blah, blah, blah. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, him go to Barcelona. But I do think that he does eventually play in Europe. Jose, his passing's got unbelievably better than what it had been. His position has been, positionally, he has been, I think, better than what we've seen in the past with Union too. And I think that loan with Lyngby had helped out a lot, if we're being honest, Jose. Yeah, playing in the second division in Denmark, but to John Shear's credit, did not need to be playing MLS Next Pro anymore. Was well past that level. Needed to test himself and leaves his comfort zone. Goes and plays in Denmark. Learns a new language. I don't actually know if he was speaking Danish, but regardless, you got people that obviously can speak English, but yeah, it's a whole different environment than growing up in Lebanon, PA, and being around the Philadelphia Union setup. Basically,
where, Todd?
Is it not Lebanon?
I think I've always just heard as Lebanon.
Lebanon?
I think you just said the Middle East country.
Oh, I did. I absolutely did. Yeah, definitely not Lebanon. I absolutely did say Lebanon. You're absolutely right. Lebanon. Wow. This is another week, folks. Holy.
I'm thinking you just signed him up for the army, dude.
Yeah, I 100%. Wow. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I absolutely did say the Middle Eastern country. Wow. Oof, not good. If I had it lined up, I definitely would have played the Jim Curtin not good. Oof. Not good at all. No.
Dude, this is incredible. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to be an asshole about it. But
no. Because can we address this comment, Jose, earlier from Sexy Hoagie? She says, "Why aren't you paying attention?" Look, there is clear case in point that Jose is indeed paying attention to what I said. I didn't even realize that I said Lebanon. Jose catches it. So well done. Maybe it's you, Hoagie. Maybe you're not the one who's paying attention for Jose to call me out on that.
She's got the mom brain building. I get it. I it's okay. She's got the baby baking. I forgive her.
Oh God. Sean says it's Lancaster, not Lancaster. It's Lancaster. I know that one. I know that one for sure. I have too many friends that live up in the area that corrected me for saying Lancaster. It's Lancaster. Sorry, Lancaster.
Do you go to Reading or Reading, Todd?
Reading. I know that one too, dude. Reading.
Sorry to derail us, but I want to make sure we address that before the comments are or the listeners are thinking, oh my gosh, Neil Pierre is a Middle Eastern guy.
Yes. Well done, Jose. See, Hoagie, he is indeed paying attention. Let's go ahead and I'll go ahead and throw these two together, Jose, just for time's sake. Should Ryan Richter be given the Union job permanently for his relationship with the Sullivan brothers? As you think on that. But I think a lot of people would say, yeah, Ryan Richter should get the job if the Union wind up getting into the playoffs. Maybe, actually not maybe. I've seen some comments on different people's social medias, on different Union social medias where fans are saying, give Ryan Richter the full-time job already, make him the permanent head coach. And I do think ultimately if the Union make the playoffs, Ryan Richter will become the Union's head coach. And if the Union don't make him their head coach, I think another team would. I think he'll leave the Union organization. As much as he's enjoyed his time going through the different steps through the young academy kids all the way up to an assistant manager with the first team, then taking over for Marlon LeBlanc with Union 2. I do think if he doesn't get the job, I think somebody else in MLS offers him a head coaching job. I think he's done an incredible job. He speaks so well with the media. You see the confidence, the quality that he's brought out of the players that was lacking at many times during the season under former head coach Bradley Cornell. And our friend Jasmine had texted me. She's like, "Man, I did not see this run coming from Ryan Richter winning his first 4 MLS games." And what exactly do you think was wrong with Bradley Cornell? And the only thing I can point to, Jose, is I think these players wanted to get Bradley Cornell fired. We see it in Europe, Jose. We see it all the time in soccer. Players playing down to the level because they don't want to play for the manager. And that's the only thing that makes sense because, yes, Ryan Richter is bringing the most out of these players, letting them play freely. But you can't tell me, and yes, Kai Wagner coming back plays a big part of it, but you can't tell me, Jose, that suddenly a month away from Bradley Cornell to Ryan Richter, these look like completely different players. Yes, I think Ryan Richter brings a lot with the confidence, the belief that he has in the players, but I think they play down to their quality, Jose, because I think there are some players that just couldn't stand playing for Cornell anymore. And so, yes, I think there are people that think Ryan Richter should already have the head coaching job after winning his first 4 MLS games, which is the first Union coach in the organization's history to win their first 4 MLS games. But would you give him the job because of his relationship with the Sullivan brothers? We know we will see Kevin in Philadelphia for just 2 more years. We know that Ryan had both Kevin and Quinn in different age groups in the academy, has known the family for a very long time. Do you think the Union should consider giving Ryan the job permanently because of his relationship with the Sullivan family, with the Sullivan brothers?
I don't know if I would base the job decision on a relationship with the 2 players, but what I will say is that Ryan has done a really good job of managing the relationship with the 2 brothers, right? Finding a way to make Quinn have Quinn make an impact in games with this substitution. I think his substitution pattern this weekend was incredible. It was perfect. Exactly what you needed. Nailed it. I think what I would also say from speaking to sources is that the vibes in that building are just a complete 180 from what they were with Bradley Cornell towards the tail end of that tenure. Players are excited to play. I mean, it doesn't even have to come from sources I talk to. You hear it from players out loud in quotes. Players are happy to play. I think was it Nate Harriel who said that Ryan brings back the joy in playing, which is what a crazy statement to make in public. I was kind of shocked that Nate said that. If I'm getting that quote correct, maybe you can make sure I'm not overly stating what he said, but it just seems like this group is just very happy to have someone like Ryan, someone that they know very well. Obviously, being around the group, being around the organization for a while. So, like, if Ryan figures out a way to get this team into the playoffs after that, I don't want to call it a hole, dude, like trench that they were in, bottom of the ocean that they were in going into the first half of the season. If he finds a way to get some into the playoffs, I don't see a world where they don't give him the job. But then again, there's also, situations where you think about Portland with the Cassidy guy, had won so many, like 3 or 4 games and obviously lost one. And that didn't matter. They went ahead and gave the job to the Cifuentes guy. So teams do goofy things. There's obviously a lot that rides on a coach. the name does matter. Does it matter to the union? I'm not sure. But the union are also not uncomfortable with going with second options, right? Bradley Cornell was the second option, as we understood it. So I'm excited to see how this shakes out and whether there is genuinely a search currently happening, or it's just a light search in case names pop up here and there.
Well, let's go ahead and play that quote that Ryan Richter gave you on what he wants from both Kevin and Quinn.
You know, in your life when someone is rooting for you, and I'm rooting for them. I want to see them win. I want to see them be successful. And when you see them do well, it makes you proud and it makes you happy for them. So that's with all the players. But, I've known those guys for a long time. I've known the family for a long time. So that's the best way I can say it is I'm rooting for them. I want to see them be successful. I want to see them win as individuals. And I'm proud of the way that they've bought into the team. And have helped us, through this first couple of weeks.
So obviously, there's a guy that's known the family, known the brothers, obviously, for a very long time, and they're contributing. We said it earlier in the show, Jose, both Kevin and Quinn contributing to the first team. I think they're continuing to play vital parts the rest of the season, and we'll see. Will it be enough to push the Philadelphia Union into a playoff spot? One thing I want to mention before we get into Blunder of the Week, Jovan Lukic is suspended on Wednesday against Inter Miami due to yellow card accumulation. But even if he doesn't pick up that yellow card, Jose, I think with the way that Jesus Bueno played, I think that's enough to maybe give Jesus some more playing time with the first team. Wins the ball back twice. Won the second and the third goal for the Union. Played phenomenal. You mentioned it. Spot on changes for Ryan Richter in the second half. Indiana Vasilov off for Quinn Sullivan. Jovan Lukic off for Jesus Bueno. And then you bring in the closer in Alejandro Bedoya for Kevin Sullivan when you want to go defensive. And the changes work spectacularly. Are you going to get players coming off the bench scoring goals every game, assisting every game? No. But if you can get players coming off the bench, winning the ball back in the midfield, making it difficult, running at tired legs, then that's a win. And that's exactly what all three changes did for Ryan Richter, helping the Union come back and defeat NYCFC by a score of 3-2. Jesus Bueno, I think, if Damiani doesn't score a brace, if we don't see Kevin get 2 assists, I think Jesus Bueno is probably up there for a man of the match performance. I know you said Danley earlier. I mean, so many guys had phenomenal games in the second half. And if the Union want to be successful for the remainder of the season, it's got to start with their midfield, in my opinion, Jose.
No notes, nothing to add. I think you hit it there. I mean, Bueno, I think did enough. If anything, it's almost just perfect striking luck of, had a great second half of a match or substitute appearance, and Lukic's yellow card at the same time, taking him out. It's like a perfect avenue for him to, maybe this is a stretch, dude. I think we keep on going back and thinking about his little stretch there with Leagues Cup in 2024, I think, where he was scoring, he was assisting, he was dribbling past players, looked like a man possessed, and earned him some more opportunities, but never ultimately a starting job. So maybe this is again, new regime. Maybe he can figure out a way to add some more to his portfolio ahead of a potential new coach, or a coach that loses the interim tag and makes it very apparent that, Ryan Richter will need someone like him. And I think Bueno will have different ideas about whether it's from the bench or from the get-go of a match.
I agree. So let's go ahead and talk about Blunder of the Week. Jose genuinely doesn't know what Blunder of the Week is. Want to take any stab what it's going to be? This is pretty off the air for me, and I'm so glad that I saw this on social media. It was trending, very, very popular over the weekend. Does obviously have to do with soccer. Let's see, what other hints can I give you?
Domestic or international?
Domestic. I think it's very, very overlooked. think it's a hot debate in today's landscape of U.S. soccer in all things considered. What other hints can I give you?
Is this the banner of the Nashville guys held about Messi and Gianni Infantino?
I saw that late, but it is not that. It is not that.
Okay.
Which, by the way, is so dumb. Like, why are Miami fans, like, it's banter. I don't understand why Miami fans are getting upset about that. Like, yes, I know Messi lost his father and everything recently, but there's memes were going on throughout the whole entire World Cup. And so I'm glad to see a fan base like Nashville rub it in on into Miami. And Nashville obviously get the better of Miami this past weekend 4-1. But I feel like these two always play a great game, but that is not Blunder of the week.
Okay, then I genuinely have no idea. I'm going to have to ask you to let it rip.
Jarrett says the AI banner. Was it AI? It had to have been AI. Absolutely had to be AI.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's got those Photoshop skills. It looks shitty enough to be AI.
Yeah, absolutely. So Blunder of the week. I don't know if you saw this, Jose, but there is a high school soccer game in South Dakota between Rapid City Central and Brookings. And hopefully I'm saying Brookings right. I'm not from South Carolina because we know I am not a native of some of these places. I get pronunciations incorrectly. So I'm going to go with Brookings. I mean, it looks like Brookings. I'm assuming it's Brookings. Now we're going to have some random listener in South Dakota tell me, oh, it is not called Brookings. You're completely wrong. So I can't wait till we find the one lonely South Dakota listener to the podcast. But I'll share the video here and I'll try to speak over it. I muted the audio so I can talk over it. Again, for people who are listening on the RSS feed, this is why we always say watch the podcast, because we do show clips, we do show posts. And so this was a soccer game recently in South Dakota between the Bobcats and the Cobblers. We have the ball played forward, intercepted by the defense, and the defender just absolutely pushes, kicks, punches, punches. I mean, multiple jabs there from the defender on the player on the ground. And it was not a great scene, Jose, in South Dakota recently. I saw a lot of posts that the police are looking into this, the school districts looking into it. The Rapid City Central player was given a red card, removed from the game. This game was delayed for about 10 minutes before we saw play resume. I am cutting this video, not keeping it 10 minutes. It would be way too long to just show you guys a random video from high school soccer. But yeah, this is just completely unacceptable for any level, but yet alone high school, Jose. And I'll go ahead and throw myself under the bus, right? Yeah, tensions do get hot in these games, especially come playoff times. And I'm not going to lie, and maybe my former high school coach is listening, and I totally talked myself into getting to stay on the field from my coach. But I can remember the very last high school soccer game that I played. There was a foul given against me, and I did not agree with the call whatsoever. And so the kid that I fouled was on the ground, and so he stays on the ground, and I just knee him in his chest. And the referee sees it. Should have gave me a red card. 100% should have gave me a red card. Gives me a yellow card. The game's misty. It's foggy outside. And so you get a yellow card. You get sent off to the side. And my coach says, why'd you just pick up a yellow card? I said, I have no clue. Coach can't see because it's very misty. And I said, yeah, I have no clue why the ref didn't tell me why I got a yellow card, even though I know exactly what I did. I knew as soon as I did it, like, what am I doing? Like, just completely in the midst of the chaos. We're losing this playoff game. Senior, I don't want this to be my last playoff game. I don't agree with the call. I won the ball. I timed my slide tackles very, very well. And the referee gives a foul against me. And out of anger, I just knee the guy. But I never threw any punches. I never pushed a guy over the sideline like this and gave him a couple of jabs. I mean, this is unbelievable what we saw from the Rapid City Central player. Just complete trash. And you don't want to see this at any level of the game. But again, I mean, high school level. And most of these guys, their soccer career ends after high school, like myself. And you want to make the most out of these moments. I get it, tensions run high and everything, but I do think if you can't control your emotions in an environment like that, you probably shouldn't be you probably shouldn't be playing the sport. And usually when you get a straight red card in high school soccer, you miss a game. I would imagine, since punches were thrown, that the player's probably going to miss multiple games. We'll see. Does anybody get
season?
Yeah, potentially the whole season. Do players get arrested potentially for assault because the police are looking into this? So all in all, not a great look whatsoever.
Yeah, not good.
Yeah, dude. I watched that clip and I thought to myself, does this qualify as assault? Like it's kind of nutty, right? Like it's not like a headbutt that's disguised as something else. It's not some of those soccer moves that you would see. That's a kid that genuinely just saw red. Like that was it, you know? Like I think his eyes rolled back and just obviously you can't see it, but like figuratively, like eyes rolled back and all he could think about is harming that kid. It was, when I saw that, I was like, oh man, that's nuts. That's pretty fucking nuts to see a high school kid do that. So I'm also shocked that the video's still up for people to watch on YouTube. Last I checked, anyways.
They took it down.
They took it down. Okay.
Private, yeah.
Yeah, because when I finally watched it, I thought to myself, why is this up? Like this is not good. And I remember checking multiple times throughout the day. Was it Saturday when I finally saw it, or maybe it was Sunday? And I'm thinking to myself again, why is this still up? This is a pretty gnarly clip to just leave up, and you know, you can figure out who the kid is if you look at a roster, or was. I don't know if he's part of the roster anymore. So, you know, now the kid's got to deal with the circumstances. I remember when my brother and I played Premier Soccer in high school, travel ball, like expensive club ball, whatever you want to call it. My brother was just getting under the skin of this guy. And my brother was pretty good at the whole gamesmanship of, you know, he was a defender, so he would make sure he would, you know, scrape the dude's leg while he was backing up, or like when a goal kick or a long ball was coming, he would make sure to get right on the back of the player or the striker and jab him a little bit in the back. You know, just like all that dirty shit that defenders do that referees just genuinely can't see, because typically it's one, maybe two referees, but they're not great referees. But it got to the point that the guy had enough of my brother's nonsense, turned around and went and just punched him in the face. All that to say that kid then, as I understand it, was never allowed to play Premier Ball in Pennsylvania. He was banned from playing Premier Soccer in the state of Pennsylvania. So the kid whose clip we just watched, I think, is going to have some serious repercussions, and I hope he understands and learns from it, although it might be a mistake that's going to cost him a lot of really neat experiences that he could have had.
Yeah, you never want to be known as the player that lost control of their emotions during a game, physically assaults a player on the sideline by kicking them, throwing punches. And yeah, it's just you don't want to see it whatsoever. Hard challenges happen in the game. We know that, Jose. They constantly happen. But yeah, when you physically take matters into your own hands and assault players, yeah, just not a great look for the sport of soccer whatsoever. But yeah, it's been a fun episode, Jose. It's been a long episode, but well deserved, because we won't talk about that game that the Union played prior to this match. Luckily for me, my internet was out for my whole community, not just my house, so did not have the pleasure of watching that game, the last Leagues Cup game. So we couldn't have picked a better game to come back from and talk about, as Philadelphia Union come from behind, defeat New York City FC by a score of 3-2. But you got to write another article on the Philadelphia Union, Jose, for MLS. Anything else you want to plug? I have that link to the article up there. People can click the the QR code. People can take a picture of it. But anything else you want to go ahead and plug? Maybe you want to talk about the article. Take it away.
Thank you for plugging the article. Thank you for putting it up there. I want to plug your goals breakdown. Always a fun time. And you did it in record time too. I think within the hour of the final whistle, maybe hour and a half of the final whistle. So make sure you guys watch that. And a quick update. A huge thank you to everybody who went on and pre-ordered the jerseys from Icarus / Forbidden Closet / Olivia Smith. As I understand it, 186 jerseys total were pre-ordered from this run. Not saying that they all came from us, far from it, I would think. But if you were somebody who pre-ordered through us sharing with you, again, Todd and I are not earning a single dime. The folks at Icarus, Forbidden Closet, and Olivia Smith were kind enough to give us some jerseys for helping out. But know that you'll be one out of 186 jerseys. So pretty cool stuff. One of a kind type of jersey. So thank you to anybody who jumped on the opportunity to get one.
Really, really cool. I was clicking on those links that I just posted on YouTube, making sure that they work for people to check out your article on MLSsoccer.com. And then, as you mentioned, goals breakdown video. And yeah, I do think that was a record timing, an hour and a half. And I had texted Jasmine after the game. I was like, hey, is there any way you can get a graphic made for the goals breakdown video for YouTube and Instagram? I know this week's going to be crazy with the Union having a game on Wednesday night and then us probably doing a podcast on Thursday. Knowing that I'm probably going to have to do goals breakdown video again, I was like, I just need to suck it up, get it out of the way, and write an article, do the goals breakdown video. And so I'm happy that I was able to get that done out to you guys. So again, links in the description on YouTube, youtube.com/freekickpod to check out all the latest goals breakdown videos. But if you guys aren't following the podcast on Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter, follow @freekickpod, wherever you get your podcast, The Free Kick. As you guys know by now, always live every single podcast on YouTube and Twitter, youtube.com/freekickpod for the latest goals breakdown videos and the podcast. You can go ahead and check out my writing, goals breakdown video, or the podcast all in one place, thefreekick.substack.com. An hour 22 minutes. Did not expect us to talk for almost an hour 30. But when you guys ask us great questions on the chat, when you guys interact with us in the chat, typically means a longer show, which we don't mind. Hopefully Jose's wife, Andrea, does not mind keeping Jose for 10:30 at night. I said I want to get home by 11 o'clock. I should be able to get home prior to 11 o'clock, but we got to end the show now. And so we do appreciate all you guys bantering with us as I mispronounce my Pennsylvania city. I'm not even going to give it a go because I want to say the Middle Eastern country, Jose. So I'll go back. I'll practice it, make sure that I do better next time. I'm sure there's a couple other, if you guys want to do, okay, last thing I'll say on the show, if you guys want to test my knowledge, give me Pennsylvania rivers, cities, towns, and I guarantee you I will butcher most of those. I know that there was golf videos going around asking golfers how to say some city names in Pennsylvania. So I would definitely be one of those people that struggle with them, as well as many of those golfers that were in those videos. But it's all fun. It's all banter. And we appreciate you guys. We love the support. And until then, my name is Todd, and this is the Free Kick Podcast.